All right, so today we're diving deep into hunting in British Columbia.
Specifically,
Yeah.
what it takes to get licensed.
Yeah, and ready to hunt
hmm
in this incredible
It's
province.
a pretty amazing place to hunt,
It is.
that's for sure.
Yeah. So before we get started, just a reminder that all the information we're talking about today is based on those sources you can find in the show notes.
Always good to check those out.
Yeah, for all the details.
hmm
So it's not as simple as just, grabbing your rifle and heading into the woods up there.
No, British Columbia has a pretty unique system.
Right.
It's all designed to make sure that hunters are knowledgeable,
Yeah.
responsible,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It is. It's a very
Safety's a big deal.
safety is a huge deal, and just like really knowing what you're doing,
Right.
respecting the animals, respecting the environment.
And the resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a privilege to be able to hunt there,
It is.
not around.
Yeah. And so that's where the CORE program comes in.
The core program.
CORE stands for Conservation Outdoor Recreation Education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mandatory for anyone who wants to hunt in BC.
Yeah, it's a really kind of a standout program
It is.
that BC has.
Yeah.
It's not just a basic hunter safety course like
Right.
you might find in other places.
hmm
It really delves deeper
Yeah.
into wildlife conservation, hunting ethics, firearms safety,
hmm
even survival skills.
Yeah, it's very in-depth.
Yeah, it's really about preparing hunters to be
Yeah.
true stewards of the wilderness.
Yeah, I was really impressed with you know how in-depth the BC Firearms Academy's online study resources are?
Oh, yeah.
And they're free.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they have practice quizzes for each chapter
Mm-hmm.
and a full online course that basically mirrors the official curriculum.
So you can really be prepared
Yes, very prepared.
for that exam.
And they even have like a detailed FAQ section
Yeah.
that covers just about anything you could think of.
Yeah. Anything you could possibly think of.
And I found that really helpful.
Just in kind of like getting a sense of like,
Yeah.
okay, what is this really all about?
What am I getting into?
What am I getting into?
Exactly.
So, yeah, you really do need to be prepared because this core exam is not a walk in the park.
Oh, no.
Like you said, it has written components and practical components.
Gotta know your stuff.
You got to know your stuff, and they really want to make sure that you understand the theory,
Mm-hmm.
but also that you can safely handle firearms,
Right.
like in real-world situations.
Exactly. And there's a practical component where they observe you
Yes.
actually handling a firearm,
Check.
and they're watching to make sure you're doing everything safely and correctly.
Right, and that you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
So you've passed the core exam.
you've passed,
You're feeling great.
you're good to go.
You think you're ready to head out.
Now you're ready to dive into
Just hold on a sec.
what?
There are some rules and regulations we need to talk about.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Hunting regulations?
So yeah, once you've tackled that exam, then it's time to like really understand the world of hunting regulations.
In beautiful British Columbia.
Yes.
It's not the same everywhere.
No, and there are some really fascinating nuances
Oh, yeah.
that we found in the source material.
For sure.
So I wanted to talk about one that really stood out to me, and that is the limited entry hunting system.
The LEH.
Yes, the LEH.
Okay, so imagine this.
Okay.
You've got your heart set on hunting a specific species,
Okay.
but guess what?
Right.
You're not the only one.
Okay, right.
That's where the LEH comes in.
So it's kind of like a lottery system.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is a lottery.
But it's a lottery with a twist.
With a twist, yeah.
Yeah, like BC uses this weighted draw system.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that your odds of getting a tag to hunt this species that you have your heart set on
Mm-hmm.
can actually increase or decrease
That's right.
depending on your past hunting success, which is really interesting.
So let's say you've been trying to get a tag
Okay.
for elk,
Okay.
prime elk hunting area,
Mhm.
for a few years. No luck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the system actually
Oh, that's nice.
gives you slightly better odds
Oh, that's great.
in future draws.
So they're rewarding your persistence.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they recognize that you're really trying hard to get out there
Yeah.
and enjoy the resource.
That's nice.
It's all about fairness,
Yeah.
giving everyone a shot.
Yeah. It seems very fair.
It is.
It gives everyone a shot at their dream hunt.
Absolutely.
But what about, I was reading about these group hunts,
Or punts.
and it sounds like you can apply with a group of up to 4 people.
Yeah, you can have a group of up to 4 people,
Okay.
and you apply as a group.
Okay.
So you get one entry for the whole group.
That's cool.
So if any one person in the group gets drawn,
Wow.
the entire group gets tags.
That's a really good way to increase your chances of being drawn.
It is a good way.
Okay. But the weighted draw system still applies.
Oh, absolutely.
So if everyone in your group
Mm-hmm.
has been lucky enough to draw tags in the past,
Right.
then your collective odds actually decrease.
Yep. It keeps the playing field level.
That makes sense.
It's all about that fairness thing.
Yeah, and I think that is a really,
Everyone having a fair chance.
yeah, a really important component of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know there's a common question that a lot of people have, and that is, do I need a PAL to hunt in BC?
Ah, the PAL.
Yeah. So for those who don't know,
Yeah.
a PAL is a possession and acquisition license
Mm-hmm. That's for firearms.
for firearms.
So that's federally regulated.
Yes, and you need that to own and possess firearms in Canada.
Correct.
So people are like, okay, well, I have my PAL.
I'm good to go, right?
I can go hunting.
Right.
Not so fast.
Not too fast.
You still need to do that core course.
You still need the core.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a PAL alone won't let you head out into the wilderness.
That-
So to be clear,
With a rifle.
you need your PL
Mm-hmm.
to own your firearm,
To own it.
but you need the core to actually go hunting.
You need the core and you need the hunting license that you get once you pass the core exam.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you've nailed that core exam. You're familiar with that LEH system.
You're feeling good.
You've got your licenses. You're good to go. You're ready to head out.
What else? What about species identification?
Okay, yes.
You gotta know what you're looking at.
This is huge, especially for safety.
Absolutely.
You can't just shoot at any animal that you see moving in the woods,
No.
right? You need to be able to really accurately identify the species.
Mm-hmm.
And this is especially important when it comes to bears.
Bears.
Yeah, because misidentifying a grizzly bear could have really, really serious consequences.
Yeah.
So the source material was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It really highlighted all the differences between black bears and grizzly bears,
Yeah.
like down to the shape of their face,
Yeah. Their claws.
the length of their claws.
The hump on their back.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And
And even little things like that, the shape of their face
yeah,
can make a big difference.
Right.
Between being able to properly identify it.
and the devil really is in the details here
Yeah, for sure.
because, even those minor differences can be critical.
Absolutely.
And it could be the difference between, a safe encounter
Right.
or a dangerous one.
Exactly.
So, for example, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
grizzlies tend to have that more pronounced shoulder hump,
Yeah, they've got that big hump.
right, and that dished-in face profile
Yeah.
compared to black bears,
Yeah, black bears tend to have a straighter profile
right.
and no hump.
And speaking of bears, we can't forget about Vancouver Island
Vancouver Island. Oh, yeah.
because grizzly bear sightings on Vancouver Island have been on the rise.
Yeah. Which is interesting because
Yeah.
they weren't really known to be on the island.
Right, historically.
Historically, yeah.
So this is a bit of a mystery,
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery.
but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Absolutely.
So some experts think that they're swimming over from the mainland,
Possible.
while others suspect they may have been introduced.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
But they're there,
Yeah, regardless, it just underscores how important it is to be bear aware,
especially on Vancouver Island.
especially on Vancouver Island if you're hunting.
Yeah.
So speaking of fascinating animal facts,
Oh, I love animal facts.
did you know that mountain goats aren't actually goats?
That's right.
Yeah, it's a common misconception,
Yeah. A lot of people think they're goats,
but they're not.
but they're actually more closely related to antelopes.
Antelopes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Goat antelopes, to be precise.
Goat antelopes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
That's really cool.
Their physical characteristics
Mhm.
line up more with antelopes than true goats.
That's so interesting. It just goes to show you, like, there's always something new to learn
Always something new to learn,
about the natural world.
for sure.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about a topic that's essential for every hunter:
What's that?
field dressing and game care.
Ah, yes.
So this is where respect for the animal
Absolutely.
and the quality of your harvest
Mm-hmm.
really come into play.
Yeah. Field dressing's about more than just
Ah.
taking out the guts.
Yeah,
It's really about making sure
yeah,
the meat is handled properly.
right.
Doesn't spoil.
And one of the biggest things that the sources emphasized was temperature control.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Heat is the enemy.
Heat is the enemy.
When it comes to preserving that game,
Meat.
you want to cool that meat down as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The faster you cool it down,
Mm-hmm.
the less chance bacteria has to grow and spoil it.
Right.
Yeah, think of it like this.
Okay.
If you leave a piece of meat
Yeah.
out on the counter,
Right.
it's going to go bad pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if you put it in the fridge,
Mm-hmm. It'll last much longer.
right, okay, that makes sense.
Same with game meat.
Yeah.
Get it cool, keep it cool,
Got it. Okay.
and you're good to go.
And so there are specific techniques, right, for field dressing different animals.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was reading about, gutting, skinning,
Yeah. Gutting, skinning.
quartering larger animals like deer and elk.
Right, and those techniques are designed to expose the meat to the air,
Yeah.
and that helps it cool down faster.
Okay, so
Especially in warm weather.
so quartering a large animal
Yeah,
into smaller sections, that allows it to cool faster.
much faster.
Got it. So it's a skill that every hunter really needs to master.
It is, and it's something you can practice and get good at.
Yeah, and speaking of skills, um, the sources also emphasized ethical hunting practices.
Oh, absolutely.
And, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but
Yeah.
this is really at the core of responsible hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's about respecting the animals, the environment, and
Yeah.
the rules that govern the sport.
The rules are there for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the key principles of ethical hunting is this concept of fair chase.
Fair chase. Yeah.
And that's about ensuring that the animal has a fair chance
Yeah.
and avoiding any methods.
It give the hunter an unfair advantage.
That's so-
So, for example,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be very sporting to chase a deer
Right.
with a truck, right? Or to use spotlights
Right.
to blind them at night.
Yeah.
Fair chase ensures a balance, a challenge,
Yeah.
and respect for the animal's ability to evade you.
It levels the playing field.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's not supposed to be easy.
Right, right.
It's a challenge.
Okay, so now let's talk about
Okay.
a safety topic that's often overlooked, but it is critically important.
What's that?
Tree stand safety.
Ah, tree stands, yeah.
So tree stands are really popular among hunters
Mm-hmm.
because they offer a vantage point
Mm-hmm.
and concealment.
Yeah, you get up high.
Yeah, you get up high. But they also come with some inherent risks.
For sure, you're elevated.
You're elevated, often in remote areas.
Wrong.
And if you fall,
Yeah,
the consequences can be really serious.
absolutely.
So one of the sources mentioned that a surprisingly high percentage of hunting accidents
Yeah.
are actually related to tree stands.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked by this statistic.
I think it was 37%.
37% of tree stand hunters
Yeah.
have experienced a fall at some point.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
So it's really important to
Yeah.
take the proper precautions.
So following the Tree Stand Manufacturers Association,
The TMA.
yes, TMA, their safety guidelines is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And using a full body harness
Yeah.
and a lifeline are non-negotiables.
Those are essential.
Yeah, it's not just about the harness, though.
Right.
It's also about inspecting your equipment regularly,
Mm-hmm.
choosing a suitable tree, making sure it's strong enough,
Right.
and always letting someone know where you're going to be hunting.
Always a good idea.
So if something does happen, they know where to find you.
Somebody knows where you are.
Yeah. And so preparation and awareness are really key here.
Absolutely.
And, while we're talking about safety,
Mm-hmm.
we can't forget about first aid.
Ah, first
The
aid.
basic first aid kit
Mm.
and the knowledge to use it
Yeah.
are essential,
Especially.
especially if you're in those remote areas.
Yeah, you never know what might happen out there.
You never know. An accident could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Being prepared could actually save a life.
Yeah, it's like packing extra layers of clothing.
Yeah.
You might not need them,
Mm-hmm.
but if the weather turns,
Yeah.
you'll be really glad you have them.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And lastly, we need to mention the RAPP hotline,
RAPP. Yeah.
which stands for Report All Poachers and Polluters.
Mm-hmm.
And this hotline allows anyone to report suspicious activity
Anonymously.
anonymously, like if you see poaching or any kind of environmental violation.
Yeah, it's really important.
So this is a vital tool for ensuring, responsible hunting practices
Mm-hmm.
and protecting BC's wildlife.
It really is. Yeah.
So it's a way for everyone to be a steward
Yeah, we can all play a part.
of the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And, by reporting any potential violations,
Yeah.
we're all contributing to the long-term health
Mm-hmm.
and sustainability of BC's hunting heritage.
Exactly. So if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
All right, so that wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into hunting in British Columbia.
Phew. That was a lot of information.
It was a lot.
But we've laid a good foundation.
We've covered a lot of ground,
Mm-hmm.
from the core program to hunting regulations,
Species identification.
species identification, ethical hunting,
Safety?
safety.
Big stuff.
Yeah, some really important considerations.
Absolutely.
So you now have, hopefully a solid foundation for understanding the requirements
Mhm.
and responsibilities of hunting in BC.
But there's a lot more to cover.
There's more to come.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for part 2.
we're going to delve even deeper
Yes.
into specific hunting methods,
Yes, we're going to talk about some specific species,
challenges and
the
rewards
challenges and rewards that await
in the wilds of BC.
in the wilds of
It's
BC.
going to be good.
It is. Welcome back to our deep dive into hunting in British Columbia.
We're ready for more.
We are ready for more. So last time we covered those essentials,
The core program, regulations.
regulations, safety considerations.
Yeah, the big stuff.
Yeah, the big important stuff,
The foundation.
the foundation. And now we're going to get into like the nitty-gritty of the hunt itself.
Let's do it.
Okay, so before we get too far,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
What happens if you're driving along,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you accidentally hit an animal with your car?
Look
Like,
at
what
that.
do you do?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that the regulations address
okay.
specifically.
Okay.
It might seem surprising, but you can't just take that animal home.
Right.
Even if it's a deer that ran out in front of your car,
Wow. Okay.
you need to report it
Okay.
to the Conservation Officer Service.
Okay.
They're going to determine the appropriate course of action,
Yeah.
which might involve leaving the carcass for
Okay.
scavengers or issuing a permit
Okay.
for you to remove it.
So they might let you keep it.
They might, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It depends on the situation.
That makes sense because it helps to prevent poaching.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ensures that the animal's dealt with properly.
It's about respecting that animal,
Right. Okay.
even in death.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So don't just throw it in the back of your truck.
Don't do that. No.
Call the Conservation Officer Service.
Got it. Okay.
They'll help you out.
Okay. So let's talk about legal hunting methods.
Legal hunting methods, yeah.
It seems like there are some really specific rules
Mhm.
about where and how you can hunt in BC.
Yeah, for sure.
So, the regulations are really designed to
Ensure safety
safety.
and promote those responsible hunting practices.
Yeah. So, for example, you can't hunt with a firearm
Right.
within 100 meters of a road,
A dwelling school.
a dwelling.
Yeah, anywhere people gather.
Yeah, places where people gather, right?
Yeah, common sense.
Common sense, right?
You don't want to be shooting near people.
No,
It's
exactly.
dangerous.
Yeah, so what about specific firearms?
Oh, yeah.
Are there restrictions on the types of guns that you can use for hunting?
Absolutely. The regulations are very clear.
Okay.
Fully automatic firearms.
No.
No.
Okay.
You can't use a shotgun capable of holding more than 3 shells.
Okay.
Silencers, suppressors,
Yeah.
those are prohibited.
Okay.
It all comes down to
Fairness.
fairness, safety
Safety.
for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Those are the key things.
while we're on the topic of fair chase,
Mm-hmm.
there was a particular focus in the sources on using toxic shot, specifically lead shot.
Lead shot.
And I read that lead shot has been banned for waterfowl hunting in BC
Since 1995.
since 1995. Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
So why is that?
Well, lead shot
Yeah.
is really bad for the birds.
Oh, got
It
it.
poses a serious threat
Okay.
to waterfowl populations.
Okay.
So when birds ingest spent lead pellets
Yeah.
while they're feeding,
Mm-hmm.
they can suffer from lead poisoning,
Oh, wow.
which can be fatal.
Okay.
So to protect these birds, non-toxic alternatives are mandatory for waterfowl hunting.
Okay, so what kind of shot are hunters required to use then?
Well, there are a few options out there.
Okay.
You've got steel,
Okay.
bismuth,
Okay.
tungsten.
Okay. And these materials are less harmful
Much less harmful.
to the environment and to wildlife.
Exactly.
So it's another way that BC is really
Yeah.
striving to make hunting more sustainable.
Sustainable, responsible,
Yeah.
ethical.
Okay, so let's talk about bag limits and possession limits.
Bag limits and possession limits, yeah.
It seems like these can vary depending on the species
Mm-hmm.
and even the hunting area.
Absolutely. So bag limits refer to
Yeah.
the maximum number of animals
Okay.
of a specific species
Mm-hmm.
that you can harvest in a single day.
Okay, so like if the bag limit for deer is 2,
Right.
I can't shoot more than 2,
Right.
even if I have tags for more.
Nope. You got to follow those bag limits.
And then the possession limit
Yeah.
might be double the bag limit.
Often it is, yeah.
So let's say I hunted on 2 consecutive days
Okay.
and the possession limit is 4. I could have up to 4 deer in my possession.
That's right. But it gets a little tricky because
Yeah.
those limits can vary from
Amen.
region to region.
So you're saying some areas might have different bag limits than the general
Exactly.
trimshell limits.
So it's really important for hunters
Yeah.
to check the regulations for
Oh.
the specific
Uh,
area where
right,
you're going to be
yeah.
hunting.
So before you even think about heading out, do your homework.
Do your research.
Know the regulations
Absolutely.
for your area.
It's all part of being a responsible hunter.
Okay, so I was really curious about
Yeah.
where all the money from those license fees goes.
Ah, the money.
Because it seems like there are quite a few different licenses and permits required
Mm-hmm.
for hunting in BC.
So you're paying for your basic hunting license.
Right,
You might be paying for tags for specific species.
right. And where does all that revenue end up?
Well, it's actually a vital source of funding
Okay.
for wildlife conservation
Oh, that's great.
and management in the province.
Okay,
It's not just about
Right.
generating revenue.
Right.
It's about reinvesting that money
okay.
back into protecting.
So it's going back into the resource.
Exactly. So hunters
Hunters are contributing to,
are directly contributing.
to the sustainability
The sustainability
of the activity that they love.
That's right. They're paying to keep it going.
That's really cool. So those fees are going to support a whole range of initiatives.
Habitat restoration, research, population monitoring,
Wow.
even enforcement efforts to combat poaching.
That's great. So it's really going back into
Back into the resource.
ensuring that there are healthy populations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I found it really fascinating that there's some debate around hunting animals with ear tags or collars.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
So, researchers often use ear tags and collars to track animal movements
Mm-hmm.
and gather data on populations and behavior.
Yeah, it's really valuable information.
Right. And this information is so valuable for understanding and managing those wildlife populations.
Absolutely. It helps us make informed decisions.
But I can see how some hunters might view these tagged animals as
Easy targets.
easy targets, right?
Like they're somehow less wild.
Yeah.
But that's a misconception that needs to be debunked.
Okay.
Hunting a tagged animal
Yeah.
doesn't give you an unfair advantage. In fact,
Yeah.
harvesting a tagged animal can actually provide
Oh, interesting.
really valuable data to researchers.
So you're saying don't avoid hunting a tagged animal?
No,
It's actually-
it actually helps
Okay.
with those research efforts.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, it's all part of the bigger picture.
Okay, let's talk about something that can be both thrilling and a little bit intimidating.
What's that?
Bears.
Ah, bears, yeah.
So bears are those iconic symbols of the BC wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
But as we talked about earlier, knowing how to distinguish between black bears and grizzly bears
Absolutely critical.
is critical for safety.
Especially if you're in grizzly bear country.
Yes. And there are some key physical differences to watch for.
We talked about the hump.
The hump, the dished-in face profile.
Yeah, the dish-shaped face.
Yeah.
Longer claws on grizzlies.
But it's important to remember that there can be some variations.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's difficult to rely on just one feature.
You really got to look at the whole picture.
Right, so if you're unsure about the type of bear you're encountering,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best course of action?
Err on the side of caution.
Okay.
Treat any bear as a potential grizzly
Okay.
and take appropriate precautions.
So like what kind of precautions are we talking about?
Carry bear spray.
Okay.
Make noise while you're hiking.
Okay.
Know how to react in a bear encounter.
Okay.
Don't run.
Don't run.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Okay.
Stand your ground.
Okay.
Make yourself look big.
And those precautions become even more important
Mm-hmm.
if you're on Vancouver Island, right?
Especially on Vancouver Island.
Because of that increasing number of grizzly sightings.
Yeah, it's a reminder that nature is unpredictable.
It is.
And being prepared
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
All right. Let's talk about some of the other magnificent
Oh, yeah.
big game species.
BZ has it all.
So we've got deer, elk, moose,
Mountain goats.
mountain goats. It's a very diverse
Yeah.
range of hunting opportunities.
Each species presents its own unique characteristics
Yeah.
and challenges.
So for example,
Yeah.
did you know that there are actually two main types of deer in BC?
That's right. You've got your white-tailed deer
White-tailed deer,
and your mule deer.
mule deer, and I did read about that.
Yeah.
So whitetails are known for that distinctive whitetail
Mm-hmm.
that they kind of flag when they're alarmed,
That's right.
whereas mule deer,
You got those big ears.
big ears,
Black-tipped tail.
black-tipped tail
Mhm.
that they hold down while they're running.
That's right.
So those are some key differences to look for.
Yeah. Got to be able to tell them apart.
And then there's elk,
Elk, yeah.
which are another magnificent species.
Magnificent,
They're
yeah.
the second largest
Mm.
members of the deer family in North America.
And those antlers.
Those antlers.
Massive antlers.
And their bugling calls
Oh,
during the rut.
haunting.
It's amazing, yeah.
It's really something to hear.
And then, of course, we have the moose.
The moose. The king.
The king, the undisputed king of the deer family.
The biggest of them all.
They're massive
Those
creatures.
palmate antlers.
Those palmate
They
antlers.
look like dinner plates.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazing animals.
And moose can be a real challenge to hunt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not only because of their size,
For their size. Yeah.
because they tend to inhabit
Dense forests.
dense forests, swamps.
Swamps. Yeah.
It takes a lot of skill and persistence
You got to know what you're doing.
to track those guys down.
Absolutely.
And then finally, those mountain goats.
Mountain goats.
Masters of navigating that steep, rocky terrain.
They defy gravity.
They do.
It's amazing to watch them.
Yeah, they're a sight to behold.
For sure.
Okay, but before we get too caught up
Yeah.
in the excitement of pursuing these incredible animals,
Right?
we need to talk about something that's really crucial.
What's that?
Firearm handling and safety.
Safety, always important.
So responsible firearm handling is really the foundation
The foundation, yeah.
of safe and ethical hunting.
Absolutely. It's not just about protecting yourself.
Yeah.
It's about protecting everyone around you.
Right.
So one of the fundamental rules is to treat every firearm
Yeah.
as if it were loaded.
Even if you're certain it's not.
Even if you know
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Treat it like it is.
And always keep that muzzle pointed
In a safe direction.
in a safe direction. Never point a firearm at anything
Mhm.
that you don't intend to shoot.
And keep your finger off the trigger
Off the trigger
until you're ready to fire.
until you're ready to fire.
Those are the basics
Those are the essential safety practices
that every hunter should know.
that every hunter should know.
Yeah, it's about building good habits.
And it's also crucial to understand your firearm's effective range
Yes.
and dangerous range.
Show effective range.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the difference.
Yeah, so effective range
Yeah.
is the distance at which you can accurately
Okay.
and consistently
Okay.
hit your target.
Okay, so that's the range.
Dangerous range, on the other hand,
Yeah.
is the maximum distance a bullet can travel
Wow.
and still cause harm.
So even if I miss my target,
yeah,
that bullet could still travel
absolutely.
a considerable distance and potentially injure someone
Injure someone, damage property.
or damage property.
Yeah, it's not just about hitting your target.
It's about being aware of what's beyond your
Yeah,
target.
exactly.
Okay, wow, that's
So you got to know your firearm.
a powerful reminder.
You got to know its capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of things that don't mix,
Oh, yeah.
alcohol and firearms?
Never a good combination.
No.
Impaired judgment
Yeah.
and coordination.
Coordination.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so if you're planning a hunting trip,
Leave the alcohol at home.
leave it at home.
It's not worth the risk.
Not worth the risk.
You can celebrate after a successful and safe hunt.
Yes.
Yeah,
Celebrate safely.
exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And talk about something that's really fascinating
I love this part.
and crucial for successful hunting.
What's that?
Animal behavior and habitat.
You got to understand the animals
You have
to
to.
be a good hunter.
Right, so understanding how animals behave,
Mm-hmm.
where they live,
Where they hang out.
that's essential for predicting their movements,
For sure.
identifying those potential hunting areas.
You got to know where to find them.
You know where to find them, right?
Yeah,
And developing those effective strategies.
absolutely. It's all about strategy.
Yeah, so one concept that really stood out to me was carrying capacity.
Carrying capacity, yeah.
So what does that mean?
In the context of wildlife management.
Yes.
So carrying capacity refers to the maximum number of animals
Like,
that a particular habitat can support
okay.
sustainably.
So it's not just about how many animals are present.
Right. It's not just about how many are there right now.
It's about how many that environment can sustain without depleting resources or harming the ecosystem.
Without damaging the habitat.
Right. Okay, so things like food availability,
Water sources, cover,
cover predation,
all those things play a role.
all play a role in carrying capacity.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
Okay, and hunters actually play a vital role
Mm-hmm.
in helping to manage those populations
That's right.
within that carrying capacity
We're part of the ecosystem.
through things like bag limits,
Bag limits.
season dates.
Season dates, yeah.
So those regulations
Which are designed to keep things in check.
are designed to make sure that there are
Mhm.
healthy and sustainable wildlife populations for generations to come.
Exactly.
That's great.
We want to make sure there are animals for our kids and grandkids to hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about some specific
Okay.
animal behavior
Animal behaviors. Yeah.
that are particularly relevant for hunters.
So we've got feeding patterns,
Feeding patterns.
breeding behaviors,
Yeah,
how animals avoid predators.
how they avoid predators.
Yeah, it's all fascinating stuff.
So animals exhibit this whole array of behaviors,
Oh, yeah.
many of which are directly tied to their survival
Mm-hmm.
and reproduction.
Survival of the fittest.
Right.
It's all about passing on those genes.
So, for example, deer,
Deer, yeah,
they often bed down
in sheltered areas.
in sheltered areas
With good visibility
during the day
during the day,
so they can rest,
but stay alert.
but stay alert.
Wow.
Yeah, they're smart.
So understanding those bedding patterns could help hunters predict deer movements,
Yeah.
locate those potential hunting spots.
All about patterns.
Okay, and then feeding patterns are another
Big one.
big one.
Yeah.
So a lot of animals are crepuscular,
Crepuscular.
meaning that they're most active at dawn and dusk.
Low light conditions.
Well, low light conditions, that seems like prime time for hunting.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it depends on the species and the regulations.
The regulations, always the regulations.
Let me check those regulations.
Got it.
Okay.
No. And then there's animal communication.
Animal communication. Oh, yeah.
So those elk bugling calls.
The bugle
Yeah.
and the rut.
Imagine hearing that echoing through the forest.
Oh, my gosh. I can only imagine.
It's incredible.
So those calls can travel for miles,
Miles, yeah.
attracting mates,
Challenging rivals.
challenging rivals.
Yeah, it's a powerful sound.
So understanding these calls could help hunters
Locate elk.
during that breeding season.
That's right.
It's amazing how much we can learn about animals just by observing their behavior.
And understanding how they communicate.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It really is.
All right, so let's be realistic. Hunting in British Columbia,
Yeah.
it's not always a walk in the park,
No, it's not.
right?
It can be challenging.
So the sources mentioned
difficult terrain.
difficult terrain.
Unpredictable weather.
You need some serious outdoor skills.
Yeah, you gotta be prepared.
So BC's known for its rugged landscapes.
Mountains, forests, wilderness.
Yeah, so navigating that terrain can be challenging.
And the weather can change in an instant.
So hunters need to be prepared for
Yeah.
anything.
You gotta be ready for anything.
Right. Good physical condition,
Right. Clothing, gear.
the right gear,
Yeah.
and those essential outdoor skills.
Navigation, shelter building,
Shelter building, first aid.
first aid, fire starting.
Yeah.
All those things.
And mental toughness.
Oh, yeah.
Hunting can really test your patience, perseverance.
Resilience.
So it's not always about bagging a trophy.
Right. Sometimes the best hunting stories are about the ones that got away.
Right. It's about the
Those are-
challenge,
The experience.
the experience, the connection with nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about a hunting method that requires a very different set of skills.
What's that?
Bow hunting.
Ah, bow hunting.
So bow hunting is often considered a more intimate form of hunting.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
It requires that high level of
Skill, patience, stealth.
stealth.
You got to get close.
You got to get close. And it takes a special kind of focus. It does, yeah.
And precision, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So, unlike firearms,
Mm-hmm.
which have a much longer effective range,
Yeah.
bow hunters really need to be within a relatively short distance.
Often less than 40 yards
Wow, okay.
to make an ethical shot.
It's about getting up close and personal.
Yeah, it's a different kind of hunting.
Yeah, so I was reading about different types of bows used for hunting.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
Compound bows, recurve bows, long bows.
Those are the main ones.
Okay, so what are some of the key differences?
Well, a compound bow
Yeah.
uses a system of pulleys and cables
Okay.
to reduce the draw weight,
Okay.
making it easier to hold and aim.
Okay.
So they can be good for beginners,
Okay.
but they do require a bit more maintenance
Okay.
and can be more complex to tune.
Okay.
Recurve bows,
Recurve bows, yeah.
they have a simpler design.
Okay.
The limbs curve away from the archer at the tips,
Okay.
known for their smooth draw,
Okay.
classic aesthetics.
And then the longbow, yeah, the simplest of them all.
It's essentially just a single piece of wood
Yeah, wooden string.
with a string.
That's it.
So they're really steeped in history,
Oh, yeah.
but they're a real challenge to master.
They take a lot of practice.
It sounds like there's a bow out there
There is
for every archer
every hunting style.
and every hunting style.
Yeah, it comes down to personal preference.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
The type of hunting you're doing.
Okay, but regardless of the bow that you choose,
Right.
regular practice
Absolutely.
is so important.
Develop that accuracy.
Accuracy and consistency.
Consistency, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to really be proficient.
It takes time and dedication.
Dedication.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. And just like with firearms,
Yeah,
safety is paramount when you're bow hunting.
absolutely. Same rules apply.
So
Treat your bow as if it were loaded.
Ah.
Never point it at anything you don't intend to shoot.
Right.
Be aware of your surroundings.
Okay, so let's talk about another aspect of hunting
Okay.
that is often overlooked.
What's that?
Gear and clothing.
Ah, gear and clothing, yeah.
So having the right gear and clothing
Can make a big difference.
can really impact
Your comfort, your
your
safety,
safety.
your overall success.
So, you know, layering for different weather conditions,
Layering, yeah, that's key.
choosing camouflage that matches the terrain,
You want to blend in?
sturdy boots,
Good ankle support.
ankle support, yeah.
You're going to be walking a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about being prepared for the elements
Prepare for anything.
and the demands of the hunt.
And having the right gear can make it a lot more enjoyable.
So a good backpack, a reliable knife,
Compass, map,
a compass, a map, first aid kit,
headlamp.
headlamp,
Yeah, those are just a few of the essentials.
and don't forget your hunting license, tags, permits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's venture into something
Okay.
that can be a little bit
Exciting.
exciting and a little bit unnerving.
A little scary.
Potential encounters.
With dangerous wildlife.
Yeah, so BC's home to some incredible animals,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them can pose a real threat.
Yeah.
So bears, cougars,
Wolves.
wolves.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
So it's really important to understand
Behavior.
the behavior of these
And
animals
behavior, yeah.
and know how to react in a way that minimizes the risk of conflict.
Absolutely, you want to avoid conflict.
So I read that if you encounter a bear,
Yeah.
the general advice is to
Make yourself look large.
make yourself look large, speak in a calm voice,
Back away slowly.
slowly back away. Okay,
Don't run.
don't run.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
And what about cougars?
Cougars.
They seem like those really stealthy predators.
They are. They're ambush predators.
So they could be really hard to detect.
Especially in dense vegetation.
So if you come face to face with a cougar,
Yeah.
what should you do?
Make yourself look as big as possible.
Okay.
Make noise.
Okay.
If it attacks, fight back.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into hunting in British Columbia.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but there's still more to explore.
There is. We've talked about the big game,
Regulations, gear, ethics.
all the big stuff, but what about the smaller game animals?
Small game hunting.
Yeah,
It's a great way for new hunters to kind of get their start,
right?
hone their skills,
Yeah,
enjoy the thrill of the chase
yeah.
in a maybe a little bit more accessible environment.
So the sources mentioned hunting, rabbits, hares.
Squirrels.
Yeah, those are popular small game species.
What are some of the key considerations
What
small game hunting?
for rabbits and hares?
Yeah.
Shotguns are typically the choice,
Okay.
and you can use either shot shells or slugs.
Okay.
It really depends on the species and the terrain.
Okay.
So if you're hunting rabbits in open areas,
Mm-hmm.
shot shells will do the trick.
Okay.
But if you're after hares in denser cover,
You might need the stopping power of slugs.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about squirrels?
Squirrels, they're tricky.
Yeah, they're so quick and agile.
They are.
Yeah.
They're nimble, making them a fun and challenging target.
I can imagine that takes.
A lot of skill.
Yeah.
A lot of patience.
Yeah.
They're often hunted with rimfire rifles.
Okay.
Using small caliber cartridges.
Like a .22.
Like a .22 LR. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small game hunting.
Yeah.
It's just a great way to hone your marksmanship,
Yeah.
learn about stealth, observation.
Yeah.
And with longer seasons and higher bag limits,
Yeah.
there's plenty of opportunity
To practice.
and to harvest.
Now, even with small game, there are regulations regarding like transportation
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and possession limits, right?
All about
Yeah.
ensuring ethical harvesting,
Yeah.
preventing poaching,
Right.
just like with big game.
Okay.
For example, squirrels must be transported with the tail attached
Right.
as proof of legal harvest.
Interesting. So we've covered big game, small game. What about birds?
Birds, okay.
So the sources mentioned upland game birds like grouse, ptarmigan,
Whale,
quail. They sound like a
Mm.
really fun and challenging quarry.
upland game birds, yeah.
Yeah.
They offer a unique hunting experience.
Okay.
They take you through a variety of habitats.
So like, for instance, grouse.
Grouse, yeah.
They're often found in
Forested areas.
the forested areas.
Ptarmigan.
Yeah.
They prefer those high-altitude alpine regions
Oh, wow.
above the tree line.
Okay. And then quail.
Quail, like open grasslands,
Okay.
shrublands.
Okay. So it sounds like you need to be,
A bit of a naturalist
Yeah.
to hunt upland game birds.
Yeah.
Know their habitats.
Yeah.
Know their behaviors.
Yeah.
Shotguns are typically the firearm of choice
Okay.
for bird hunting.
And I remember reading about the importance of using non-toxic shot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
for upland game birds as well.
Lead shot, again, can be harmful to the birds.
Well,
Non-toxic alternatives.
steel, bismuth.
Tungsten
Mm-hmm.
are required in a lot of areas.
Okay.
It's all about minimizing our impact,
Yeah.
protecting those bird populations.
Speaking of bird hunting,
Yeah?
what about waterfowl?
Waterfowl.
Yeah, BC seems like such a prime location
It is. It's a great spot.
for hunting ducks and geese.
Yeah, lots of wetlands, marshes.
Yeah, so waterfowl hunting is a real tradition in BC.
Mm-hmm.
Often involves decoys, blinds.
Early morning hunts.
Oh, those classic early morning hunts.
Yeah, picture this, the mist rising off the water.
Yeah.
Sound of wings overhead.
Oh, I love it.
It's magical.
And like other types of hunting,
Mm-hmm.
there's specific regulations for waterfowl as well.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, you got to make sure your shotgun's plugged
Okay.
to hold no more than 3 shells.
Okay.
Non-toxic shot. Again, mandatory.
So really important there.
And there's ethical considerations.
Yep.
You know, you don't want to be shooting at birds
Right.
that are sitting on the water or in large flocks.
It's about giving them a fair chance
Exactly.
and ensuring those sustainable populations.
That's what it's all about.
So we've explored all these different types of hunting, all these different species,
The whole gamut.
but our responsibilities don't end.
Once the hunt's over.
Once the hunt's over.
That's right.
Right.
We still have obligations
We do?
as ethical hunters.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Well, one of the big ones is
Yeah.
carcass disposal.
Okay?
Gotta dispose of those carcasses ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, it's about respecting the animal
Mm-hmm.
and avoiding, creating hazards.
Attracting scavengers.
Yeah, attracting scavengers to populated areas.
Exactly. So the regulations actually outline some guidelines
Okay.
for carcass disposal,
Oh.
emphasizing minimal environmental impact.
Okay.
And then there's antlers and horns,
Oh, yeah, those are often seen as
the trophies
the trophies, yeah.
of the hunt.
Can hunters keep those?
In most cases, yes.
Oh.
Hunters are allowed to keep
Okay.
the antlers or horns
Oh.
of legally harvested animals.
But there might be...
Specific rules
Yeah, absolutely.
regarding removing skulls,
Right.
other parts for taxidermy.
Okay, so again,
The regs,
check those regulations.
make sure you're doing everything by the book.
And lastly, let's not forget about reporting our harvest.
Harvest reporting,
So important.
super important,
Yeah.
provides valuable data
Okay.
to the wildlife managers,
Okay.
helps them to monitor populations,
Okay.
set those hunting regulations.
So it helps them ensure that the management of these populations is sustainable.
Exactly, it's all connected.
It is.
Hunters play a role
We do.
in that
Yeah, we do.
by reporting our harvest.
Absolutely. So it's our way of contributing to the long-term
Mm-hmm.
health
Mm-hmm.
and viability of the species that we pursue. All right, so that brings us to the end
The end of our journey.
of our deep dive into hunting in British Columbia.
We've covered a lot.
We covered so much.
Regulations, ethics,
Skills, the gear,
we animals.
the habitats,
Yeah.
the challenges, the rewards.
It's been a fascinating journey,
It has
and we hope you've gained
a deeper understanding.
a deeper understanding of what it really means.
To be a hunter in BC,
So remember, hunting is a privilege,
it is
not a right.
a privilege rooted in respect
Respect
for the animals,
the environment.
the traditions.
Yeah, the traditions that connect us to the wilderness.
And with that,
Yeah.
we encourage you to
Yes.
continue learning,
Exploring
experiencing the
Yeah.
wonders of hunting.
in beautiful British Columbia.
Happy hunting, everyone.
Happy hunting.